You are listening to a Difference for One podcast, episode number 20. Bonus! I'm Michelle.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Charisse. And I'm Cami.
We are the English Sisters.
We come together to share life-changing methods of improvement through a variety of topics.
We hope that above all, these discussions will help you feel that Jesus Christ is making a difference for you, the one. And we also hope that our podcast will inspire you to find simple ways that you can make a difference for one. Hey guys, I'm here with my niece Dianna. This is Nicole, and I decided to do a bonus episode because if you didn't hear, this past week we did an episode about homeschooling with my sister-in-law Sarah, and this is her daughter Dianna that I'm going to talk to right now because I thought it would be fun for everybody to hear her perspective about what she loves about homeschooling and maybe some of the things that she doesn't necessarily love. Dianna is 13 years old. If she were in public school, she would be going into 8th grade this fall. And I asked her about some of her favorite things, and she said that she loves to crochet, she loves being with other people, and she loves going outside. And I just have to say that she's also a really great artist. She's really good at drawing. Okay, so Dianna, why don't you go ahead and say hi, and then tell us what is your favorite part about homeschool, your number one most favorite thing about it?
Hi. I think I like homeschooling because of the freedom I get from homeschooling. I feel like I'm more able to freely be who I want to be and freely do what I want to do in education and all that stuff.
I love that. How do you feel like you've gotten closer to your family while homeschooling?
Well, I felt like since I have been home with my siblings a lot more, I've grown closer to them than when I was in public school. And so I feel like they've become my number one friends. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about to your parents? Do you feel like you're closer to them, or do you feel like you clash with them more?
I do feel like I'm closer to my parents because they're more able to know what I'm learning and be able to help me better. And I think that's great.
Do you feel like being with them so much makes it easier to talk to them about hard things?
Yeah, and I feel like homeschooling gives me more opportunities to just be with them. Whereas at school, you're not really with your parents most of the day.
Right. So what grade were you in when your mom decided to start homeschool?
2nd grade.
And then I know she did homeschool for a while and then sent you back to public school and then decided to switch again and do homeschool again, right?
Yeah. She just started homeschooling me for kindergarten.
Yeah, preschool, kindergarten.
Preschool, kindergarten stuff. She put me in 2nd grade for public school.
Okay, so you did homeschool for preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, and then she sent you to public school for, what was it, 2nd and 3rd, or just 2nd?
2nd grade, I did public school. 3rd grade, I did public school. And then 4th grade, she took me out during 4th grade.
Okay, like in the middle of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was it like going from preschool to 1st grade and then switching to public school in 2nd grade?
Well, I felt like being at home was a lot easier. I was in a safe environment and I didn't quite understand, how they act.
How was it different?
Everybody's trying to be really cool and stuff,
Yeah. So then what about your transition going from public school to homeschool? How was that for you?
It was actually not really rough. Like my mom, for that first year, she just kind of didn't really do anything. I mean, we tried stuff, but she didn't really do much schooling for the rest of that year, I think. And I think that was helpful because the way they teach you at school is a lot different than the way moms and dads or parents homeschool at home.
So she just let you kind of take a break and then you started again in the fall?
Yeah, pretty much.
She told me that part of the reason that she did that was that she heard that you need to give your kids some time because, like you said, public school and homeschool are so different and they need time to adjust to the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And so you said you felt like that was helpful, right?
Yeah, and I felt like it was gentle, I didn't really notice it. I didn't know what she was doing until now.
I see. Did she tell you we're going to switch back to homeschool now, or do you even remember that conversation?
I don't really remember the conversation. All I remember is leaving my classroom on the last day of school in January.
Were your friends super sad or anything like that?
Well, I think they were kind of sad that I was gone, but I don't really know. I can't quite remember how they felt about that.
Yeah, you were still pretty young.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you don't like about homeschooling?
Well, I pretty much like homeschooling, it's kind of gentle and carefree. But if I had to choose something that I didn't like about homeschooling, it'd probably be personally for my family. I wish we could socialize more. And I guess that's partially because we don't really live around kids my age. So we have to create play dates instead of just, like, oh, you can go over to so and so's house today.
Yeah, so you don't have the social interaction at school, so you have to try harder
Yeah,
to find
create
that.
my I created a group with the help of my mom. We made a homeschooling group.
A co-op.
And it's really nice because the group I created can just play the games that I planned. And then we have a playground at the parks that we did it. And so the younger kids were able to go play on the playground. And then the moms that were able to come were able to socialize and just talk. And it was really nice. And I feel like that was good because the moms liked it because they could interact with each other. And the kids liked it because they could socialize, which was nice.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, so I want to hear all the things you love about homeschooling that you haven't mentioned yet. And this is just for our listeners. I just thought this was funny and so sweet. As Diana and I were talking about what questions I was going to ask her, I told her I was going to ask her about anything that she doesn't like about homeschool. And the first thing she said was, I tried to think about that, but I couldn't really think of anything. I just thought that was so cute and really awesome that she, racked her brain and couldn't really think of anything she didn't like. And then finally she thought of, she wants to be able to socialize more. And I think it's cool that you recently found a way to do that. Okay, so moving on, what are some other things you love about homeschooling that you haven't talked about yet?
Well, I feel like my parents know me better than a teacher would. Teachers can still grow a great relationship with their students. But I feel like my parents, they've known me ever since I was born. So they would know all my likes and dislikes. Also, I can go to them and discuss things that I want to do or don't want to do. Whereas a teacher is kind of like, this is what you need to do and you're going to do it, sort of thing. I also like how I get to decide what I want to learn a little more. I mean, my parents want me to learn the basics, like the basic math for reading and all those other subjects. But I feel like I can learn about things that I want to a little more easily. And especially as I get older, I can learn about the things that I like that will help me later in my life to get jobs and things like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
I also like how we're more flexible. We can do things a little more flexibly than, like school, it's from this time to this time, and you only have a certain amount of time to do things. And it's like if you want to do something like such as gymnastics, it makes your day really crazy, like school and then gymnastics. And I feel like my family is able to fit everything in and still do school. And if an event comes up, we can kind of move school around. We don't have to have it at the same time we do every day. We can move it around to a different time so that we can still participate in that event, depending on what it is.
Yeah, I love that.
I also think it's really interesting that most great leaders in our country in like more older days didn't really have much schooling, but they were still smart enough and were able to do great things.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And one last thing, I also think it's kind of funny. People are afraid their children won't socialize if they don't go to school, which I don't quite get because you don't really socialize if you're just sitting in a classroom. You can only socialize if your teacher tells you to.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I feel like homeschooling has made it so I can socialize better.
Yeah, that's really good. And didn't you say that you feel like because you're mostly interacting with other kids who homeschool, then the kids who you're interacting with are kids who have very strong family bonds. And so they're nice to their siblings and you're nice to your siblings and you're all a good influence on each other when it comes to how to treat your family well, right?
Yeah, and it's not weird. Because I feel like sometimes kids from TV shows or something, they are mean to their siblings. And I feel like we should be more kind to our family because we might not necessarily know our friends later in our life, but we will definitely be connected to our siblings.
Yeah, that's true.
I also feel like when I was in school, I didn't really like it. I wasn't with my family as much. I didn't feel as connected. Also, I didn't have the best kinds of friends. And something really interesting, I was so stressed in school because it was just hard for me that my hair was falling out and my hair was getting really thin. And
That's crazy.
then when my mom took me out of school, I almost felt freed. Like it was just not the same feeling. I couldn't be with my siblings like I wanted to, whereas now I can be with my siblings more like I want to. And since then, my hair has grown back in. So, yeah.
And when we were talking, Diana also said that once her mom brought her back to homeschooling, she said she felt like she was where she was meant to be. I think that's so sweet. Do you think you're going to homeschool your kids someday?
Yes, I do feel like I would homeschool my kids because I feel that it's important because I can be more with my kids more. So I think I will homeschool when I'm older.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Diana. I really appreciated hearing all of this from your perspective, and I think this will be really helpful for families who are trying to decide. Thank you so much to our listeners for listening, and we hope that this was helpful for you.
If you like this podcast, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. If it resonates with you, the greatest compliment you could give is to share it with a friend who might benefit from it as well. Check out A Difference for One on Instagram for additional content. And if you have any questions, comments, a topic you'd like to hear about, or if you'd be interested in a free mini coaching session, send an email to adifferenceforone@gmail.com.